should be prepared to make the necessary amendments to the Constitution to meet contemporary needs. That's according to President Akufo-Addo, who in a televised address today underscored the need to sustain Ghana's democratic governance system. The nation is today marking 30 years since the Fourth Republican Constitution was adopted through a referendum. Delivering a message from Jubilee House earlier today, the president called on Ghanaians to resist calls for military dictatorship.
We've had 5 presidents in the history of the Fourth Republic, with peaceful transfers of power from a governing to an opposition party on 3 separate occasions. Even when there was disagreement with the outcome of an election, it was the Supreme Court on 2 occasions, rather than the streets, that validated its result. We are arguably the most stable democracy in West Africa. On this day, the 30th anniversary of the referendum, whose votes ushered in the Fourth Republic, I urge all of us to renew trust in our democracy and bear in mind at all times the oft-cited statement that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. I say so because there are some who, for their own parochial and selfish interests, would want to see a return to the dark days of authoritarian rule, simply because, with no respect for the Ghanaian people, they are either unwilling to subject themselves or their vision to the open scrutiny of the Ghanaian people, or because they know they will be rejected by the Ghanaian people and thus seek a shortcut to office and power. Let us strengthen our resolve to resist such persons for our common good.
Asking the question, how relevant will a constitutional change be to the security and stability of the nation? Joining us via Zoom now is a security consultant, Richard Kumado, who's on with us. Thank you, sir, for your time. So here we are today. The president believes that Ghanaians are experiencing by far the best democracy. How do we improve that and sustain it in the wake of receding trends in the SAB region? Richard, you'd have to unmute for us to hear you. Right. So Richard Kumado has been, of course, monitoring the speech today by the president, and he's joining us with his perspective as well. Richard, I was asking about the relevance of this constitutional change to the security and stability of our nation. What's your take on that?
I think I agree with the president by saying that democracy has far been preferred in most parts of the world as compared to regimes being led by coup d'etat. And in recent times where coup d'etat as a threat has predominantly dominated the landscape in West Africa, I can understand the sentiments of the president that we need to be resolved in our determination of maintaining the democracy we have enjoyed in the Fourth Republic. What the president also said was where he made mention of the constitutional review. This has been a campaign of certain people over the years. If you remember, Professor Atikuba has had a whole review about the Constitution, but then the political will of politicians or the political elite to go through the referendum in maintaining certain portions of the Constitution has been a major setback. Certain individuals have taken it on, and by their words or by their choices or by their activities, it has landed them direct in confrontation with the police. So I'm happy the president has raised the issue again. And I think we should start the discussions and see which aspects of the Constitution we think we can do something.
Okay, so if we are to make any changes really, Richard, where should we start from and how do we end, I guess?
I have a particular little issue when it comes to the Constitution and where people complain that there's so much power given to the president. In all presidential democracies, remember that there are various democracies in the world, and there are various types of democracies in the world. I ask a simple question. Paul Kagame in Rwanda, is he running a democratic state? Is he a dictator? Is he a Democrat? And today the West is running to Paul Kagame. And even in Africa, where there are issues in governance and leadership, we all run to Paul Kagame. But you know the story of Paul Kagame. If you look at Sankara before he died, Is he a dictator? Is he a democrat? And I think there are various forms of democracies in the world today. We need to play safely as a nation. One of the areas I would like to consider when it comes to the Constitution is the appointing authority of the president, where virtually the president has to appoint everybody, particularly into the security agencies, and the due influence of presidential power over the security agencies. I think it's an area we need to look at it. If we want to sustain this democracy we are so happy to have.
All right, then, we'll leave it here for now. Richard Kumado is a security consultant. Still on the president, he's reiterating his commitment to the repeal of Article 55(3) of the Constitution, which will pave way for local assembly elections to be held on partisan basis. He further promised to pursue a national consensus on the matter.
Fellow Ghanaians, one primary goal of the Constitution was to decentralize the structure of governance in Ghana, so the government would be brought closer to the people. One fundamental barrier to the realization of this goal has to do with the ramifications of Article 55, Clause 3 of the Constitution, which currently bars political parties from involvement in district assembly elections and local government. The attempt I made in 2019 to repeal this provision and allow for the participation of political parties in local government was aborted because of the lack of a broad national consensus when the opposition NDC signaled its inability to back the repeal. It was and continues to be my view that the repeal or modification of an entrenched clause of the Constitution should attract widespread support to make it acceptable and healthy for the body politic. We should further bear in mind the strong attachment of the Ghanaian people to multi-party democratic elections. On the average, the turnout for national elections in the Fourth Republic has been 72%, one of the highest in the world, whilst the turnout for the allegedly non-partisan local government elections has always hovered around 30%. I've said it before, and I'll repeat it. I will continue to work for an extensive national consensus on this issue. And should such a consensus be attained for the repeal of Article 55, Clause 3 of the Constitution, and an agreement reached for political parties to participate in and sponsor candidates for election to district assemblies, at any point during my remaining tenure of office as President of the Republic, the matter will be brought back again to the front burner of our public discourse for the necessary action.